everyone, happy Sunday. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. Not stressed, not triggering, not frustrations, angry, sad, anxiety. Well, if you are, I think this topic is for you, perfectly for you. Let me ask you a question before I start the topic today. How's your little inner child doing? And I am not referring to your little kids, I'm not referring to your little pets, and I'm not referring to your significant others. You know how sometimes we're referring our husbands or our other half as the big child? No, I'm not referring to all of that. I am referring to that little voice inside of us. You know, the one that's still hurt. You know, the one that's still scared. You know, the one that's still unseen, unheard, unappreciated, that are waiting for someone to show up and help them. You know, for a long time, I knew that little voice inside of me needs something. And I didn't know that I can show up as a great parent for that inner child. So what I do, I run around, seek help from the external, from my husband, from my parents, from others. I want others to do this for me, that for me. So all this time, until the cancer hit, and it forced me to face this little inner child that I no longer want to resist and avoid. And that is the best thing ever happened in my life. That made me realize it's all worth it. It's all worth it that I know how to heal my own inner child. Yes, so that little inner child that I'm referring to is the one that inside of us, waiting for someone to make her feel loved, seen, respect, understand, support, value, celebrate, and cherish. And I didn't know this is why when I watch a Korean drama, you know, when I see the guys that did all this, make the main character's girl, like she feel like a princess, he made her feel significant, he celebrate her, he cherish her, he listen to her, he understand her. You know, all these things, it actually everyone emotional needs. It doesn't have to be, and I didn't know from inspiring from a drama, I was looking for a partner that can do all of this to me so he can complete me. And I realized no one can do this job better than myself. Hi, my name is Lena. Welcome to the Wisdom Inside Out YouTube channel. I know this episode is not for everyone, especially for someone that's not ready to be parents, for someone that's not ready to do the inner work. This episode is not for you. But if you are a seeker, you're looking for freedom, joy, fulfillment, and living your life with unconditional love, this episode is for you. This episode is for you if you are ready to swallow this hard truth. As much as I wish no one to experience unhealed inner child, unfortunately, every one of us has one. Every one of us has this unhealed inner child. And this is why know how to show up to our own inner child is very important. It's the important role for every human being. Have you ever heard the saying, hurt people, and heal people, heal the world? So are you ready to face it? Are you ready to question and look inward and ask your little inner child, what do you need from me right now? You see, most of us trying to navigate life with unhealed inner child unconsciously. And as I share in the quote, hurt people hurt people. When we don't know how to calm our own inner child, we will spread out the hurt. As human beings, our emotion, our energy is very, very contagious. We have the power to shift from reactive to creativities. When we have the ability to calm or change the emotional state of our own inner child, we will know, or it's easier for us to calm other people's inner child as well. So I believe if we are a great parents to our own inner child, we will also be a great parent to our own kids, to other parents to others inner child as well. We can be a great leaders. We also a great human being to our humanity. Why do I say that? Because when we know how to calm our own inner child, when that inner child is triggering, reacting, anger, frustrations, when we, the parent version, can show up and calm that little inner child and change the emotional state from being reactive, anger, frustration, envy, comparison, to calm inner peace and to growth and abundant mindset, you can also calm others people inner child as well. Let me take you back to the onboarding plane. Think about it. When we're on the plane, we've been instructed how the way we put on the oxygen mask. We have to help ourselves first before we help others. Why? Because we cannot truly show up for others if we cannot show up for ourselves first. If we do not know how to love, we do not know how to love others fully, if we do not know how to love ourselves fully as well. This is why I said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all the wisdom. I really think it's very important for us all human beings that we all need to show up as a great conscious parent to that inner child, because that inner child has been carrying from childhood until adulthood. She or he has been carrying on a lot of emotional wound baggage. Every time that child have abandoned, she will get a wound. Every time I experience rejections, there's another wound baggage. Every time I experience the neglect, the rejections, the broken trust, it's all wounds. And it's not just that. The worst thing is that the generational one. Why do I say generation? So if your parents are carrying all this wound from their grandma or whatever it is, and your parent didn't know how to show up as a great parents to her own inner child, will pass on to you, and you will pass on to your kids. So this is why it's very important that we have to show up for our own inner child, because if we don't break free, if we don't heal our inner child, that inner child will pass on to our kids, because the way we raise our kids is the same way as we carrying all those baggage and pain. And this is why it's very important that we need to look inward and start welcoming our inner child. Give her love and support, give her love and respect, celebrate, cherish, talk to her, make her feel seen and understand. When we have ability to change our own inner child emotions, that's what we call regulating our emotions. It's very, very dangerous. Like I said, our emotion, our energy is very contagious. if we unaware, or you might be aware, I know a lot of people, when they watch something, they get upset and they release it on other people. And usually it's the kids. Let's just look at an example. If you got told off by your boss at work, or something like a hard day, a bad day, and you having all this, your little inner child is triggering. And when the great parent didn't show up to calm that little inner child, and guess what happened? This is coming from my own experience. I vomited that emotion out to people around me, my kid, my husband, and my siblings. And this is why, as I hurt people, hurt others. And this is a question for me. Do you want to walk around spreading the hurt or spreading the heal? Because we are creating that ripple effects every day. Whether you might think that you are separate from other, but we are all interconnected. We are all interdependent. And we are co-creating with each other every moment, whether co-creating with our kids, co-creating with teammates, with people on the street. So if we don't know how to shift our energy from reactive to creative or calm, you see how scary the world would be if we go around unconsciously spreading all our negative emotion. And this is so good news is we all have the power to heal our own inner child. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that amazing? So I am going to share 3 steps and 3 reflection questions for you, so you can have ability to apply and heal your own inner child. I'm going to try to do it in a short version. So if you're interested any part of the steps and you want me to go a little bit more details, please comment below. I would love to hear from you, and any feedback for me, please drop in the comment below. Would love to hear from you as well. Thank you so much. Heal our own inner child, just like I mentioned earlier. We just need to show up to be that conscious and good, great parents to our own inner child. So the first step is usually is the awareness. So I'm gonna make it short. So the awareness is the first step to change, to transform, and the ability to recognize that, oh, my inner child is showing up. So all you need to know is the ability, like I share, there's usually 2 voices inside of us. And one is the calm and normal voice, and the other voice is the acting out child. The one that's triggering, the one that anger, the one that's frustration, reactive. So I would like you, every time you're reactive or something like that, just pause and ask yourself, what does my inner child need from me right now? So pause and question. There's other thing to raise the awareness, but I will share that let me just share a few at the moment. But usually to raise awareness is you can write your journal, you can voice recording, you can get a coach therapy, you can ask yourself a lot of questions. And especially for me now, how I look at the world, I know some people might think it's funny, but this is all for me. I see that everything on the external is just reflecting my internal part, because sometimes there is unconscious blind spot that I did not know about myself. I'm going to share this story later on, so that way you can understand what I'm talking about. I will share about that later. So let's share my 3 steps first. So the first step is the self-awareness is the first step of healing. We need to have the ability to recognize and know our body. You have to label it. You have to know that, oh, my little inner child is acting out. So when you catch yourself doing that, you're able to heal it as well. Because some people, I'm not sure if you ever experienced that, but for me, as much as I don't like screaming or yelling at my kids, but I keep catching myself doing again and again. And because I wasn't aware, I was unconsciously reacting. So the first time it might take longer for you to catch your pattern, but as faster, the more often you do it, you will catch yourself a lot more faster. So the first step is awareness, the ability to recognize your own pattern behavior, especially from childhood. I'm sure there's some behavior that you are experience, like some bad behavior, but then you seems to doesn't know how to do it. Whether you get a habit of procrastinations, or you get in a habit of leaving things in the last minute, all this poor behavior. If you start questioning yourself, like, what does my little inner child need from me right now? So for me, awareness is very important, and that is the first step of healing. And I'm gonna share a few case study, my own personal story, so you have a better understanding what I'm talking about. So, like I said, asking yourself question is very helpful. I usually like, what does a great leader would do in this moment and stuff like that. But I'm sharing these 3 questions that I'm usually ask my clients, and I find it's very powerful. Let me know what you think of this question. So the first question I usually ask to raise the awareness. Any question will raise the awareness. But like I said, I'm gonna share 3 steps, and this question is gonna support the awareness. And I usually ask my clients that if you achieve your goal, your dream, whether it's your healthy body, whether it's your dream career, whether your dream partner, relationship, or job, or anything that you dream in life, I want you to imagine. Let's imagine together. Let's imagine you achieving this dream that you always want in life. I want you to sink into that. Imagine that, whether you getting this job, or whether you dating this guy that you always dream of, whatever it is, I want you to imagine. And then I want to ask you, if you are now experiencing this life, what is coming up for you? Because by me asking this question, it will reveal the patterns, the unconscious, the blind spot of your fears. Some people would feel, I don't deserve it, I'm not good enough, this insecurity, the self-doubt, that I don't deserve this, I can't sustain it if I live the life of, won $1 million lottery, or if I get that, acting job, probably I won't deserve it, or I can't maintain it. I want to know, if you ask yourself this question, what's coming up for you? The reason I said that, let me share a story about a client. This is story I find is very fascinating, because my trainer shared this story. So there's a client named Rachel. She has starting her own business, and it's been a few years. Her turnover stuck at 200k, and she tried so many marketing and strategies to break through from that 200k, but she couldn't, and she need help because she'd been trying so many ways in that couple years. So she go to see a coach, which is my trainer, and my trainer asked her this exact same question. Like, let's imagine you are now double your income of that 400k. What would you feel? Is there any fears coming up for you? Any doubt, self-doubt, insecurity, any pattern of inner critic voice coming up for you? And the client was just jiggling and, question mark face, telling my trainer that, why would I be scared or fear? There's no fears. I would be happy and celebrating. I can't wait to get 400k. And my trainer told the clients that I would like you to think in this question for a little longer. I want you to reflect a little bit longer onto these questions, not from your head, but from your heart. And so she was asking, if you achieving this, passing your 200k to 400k, what would you feel? And just go deep. So the coach hold the quiet and silent and pause space for the clients for about a couple minutes. And then the coach noticed the face expression change on the clients. She changed from a normal face expression to sad and emotional. So my trainer asked the clients, I noticed your face expression have changed, which in coaching we call it mirroring back to the clients. I noticed your face expression have changed. Is there anything come up for you? And the clients said yes. Something that she had forgotten for a long time. Something from her childhood. The emotional wounds. I bet you want to know what happened. Well, what has happened is that when she was young, one evening at home, when her mom, she's a very very career-driven woman, and she's very successful with her career. So on that day, her mom came back home with a promotion letter, and to her mom's surprise, her dad was waiting for her mom in the room with a divorce separation letter. And it turned out to be a big argument and her family separations. And Rachel witnessed all of this from her bedroom. And even though these memories has passed and she couldn't remember, but how she processed the story at that time was that if you become so successful with your career, it might impact her family life like her mom did. So this has become her emotional block, the invisible foot brake that she was unaware, unconsciously aware. And that's why going to a deep reflections can help you. And if you're not sure how to do it, a coach will help you by guiding you step by step how to do it. So this story has taught that a lot of us may not aware, and this is why I say a lot of us were unaware. We navigating life with an unhealed emotional wounds, anything from childhood. Like we would have, a lot of people is like, oh, don't call me, I don't have any trauma. Everyone have trauma. Just the birth experience coming out of your mother's womb, 10 hours of delivery, that is a very traumatic experience. You can't remember it, but that is and this is where all these fears and stuff coming from. It's still in your memory. It's become your emotional blockage, even though you don't remember the story anymore. So this story have told you that there is a pattern of your childhood has shaped you in the present moment. So let's get back to Rachel's story. After the coach managed to help her to point out her blind spot, bring the unconscious pattern to conscious now. It's bring it to the surface. Now that she aware about that, it's easier to fix. Where we coaches, we use the word reframing. So the way she processed the story when she was younger was unhealthy way, because of the way she processed the story back then. It's become her limiting belief that if you are success, you're not going to be good at with your family. But that belief is not true. This is why it's become a limiting belief. So us now, the coach, aware of where is the root of her blocks coming from with the power of the awareness, it's easier now when everything is coming to the surface. And this is why facing your inner child is very important, because when you start facing it, you now can bring everything that you try to suppress, that you try to hide, that you try to avoid, to the surface. And this is why some people journaling, some people voice recording, just to catch what is the pattern. And when we catch that patterns, it's easier to fix. So obviously the way she processed the story was unhealthy way. So the opposite of that story will make her happy. So the coach is reframing the story for her. And within 6 months, she managed to double her business income to 400K by clearing that block and still maintain a healthy family lifestyle with her family. So step number 2, breaking the cycle of trauma. I know a lot of people don't like the word trauma. You can say it emotional wounds or emotional needs unmet. And the reason I said that is that we all carry this baggage. You know, when we were small, we are little bubbly inner child, happy child, like maybe started from 3. And every time you get rejected, you shrink yourself a little bit smaller. Every time you get abandoned, you put another baggage, so your inner child getting a bit smaller and smaller. And this is why as we get older, we carry so many baggage on our shoulders, and without unrealized this, and we said, this is me. If you people that are not carry the baggage, they live life with open heart. They curious of everything, love of everything. But when we become scared of so many things, you know, you see, as you get older, you become so serious. And with kids, they become so playful because they don't have much wounds. But the more wounds that we have on our shoulder, that inner child becomes shrink. And, you know, this is why most adults become so serious and not quite happy most of the time because of the emotional wounds. I call it the invisible foot break, or that's something that you can't see. But if you are paused and reflect, you can sense it, you can see it clearly. And this is why I love meditations, because it really reveals, like I said, it's a big mirror. I become the observer of, just like the observer. I will talk about this in a different episode, but you know, I see life as subject and object. You know, subject is the observer and object is the setup that used for the experiment. And a lot of us seems to get caught up with the objects instead of become the observer, the subject that observe the change of the objects. Anyway, back to step number 2, breaking cycle of trauma. So number 1 is awareness. When we understand the awareness, we manage to catch a lot of pattern. And then breaking the cycle of trauma is all about reframing. So let me share a story of my clients. A beautiful mother. She came to me with a worried and frustrations for her 11-year-old son. He has so much anger management. So he bullied so many kids at school, and it's been going on for quite some time. And you know, as we explored, I found out that her husband chose an unhealthy coping mechanism, punish the kid in an unhealthy way. So, and this is why I want to remind the parents out there. The kids, since a baby, they're born with all emotions like us human, with zero skills. Kids born with all the emotions but with zero skills. So as parents, we need to modeling our kids with guidance and skill to cope with all those emotions. So now let's coming back to my client. So as we explore as I was exploring her situations, she revealed that her husband using violence and as a punishment to stop the kids from acting out or anything to control him. And now as he's getting bigger, it's getting out of control. It's the kids become getting his anger management become getting out of control, and the mom is really worried. And so as we explore further, she then revealed that her husband used to tell her that his father also did that to him, using violence as a punishment. And even though at that time he didn't like it, I call this is generational trauma, generational patterns of emotional wounds, because he was unconscious. Even his dad was unconscious that he was carrying the emotional wounds, and he released it on his son. And his son now released it on people at school. When anything disagreement comes up, he used the same coping mechanism, the unhealthy one, to others, because he didn't learn a proper skills or role model from his parents to cope with his anger when someone disagrees with him or something like that. And this is why I want to highlight the word hurt people hurt others. Hurt people hurt people. And this is why I have compassion when people give me pain, or when people screaming or raise their voice. It's because something inside them were hurt, and that's why they're releasing hurt. There's no happy people who release pain. There's only hurt people release pain. So when some people laughing, seeing others getting hurt or something like that, that's because they have hurt inside them. So I have compassion for them. And this is new to them. They were unaware. They were carrying the pain. They think this is a normal thing. And this is why awareness is very important. And the ability to break the cycle is very important as well. Because if you don't know how to break it, you're going to pass it to your kids. Not surprised. And this is why it's been generational trauma, because your grandparent doesn't know. So pass it to your parents, your parent pass to you. If you don't do the job, if you don't have the courage to face your inner child and start doing the inner work to break free from that cycle, you will pass it to your kids. And back to my clients. So when I point out of this cycle and of generation trauma, she set up a boundary with her husband. She will be the one that taking care of her son, and she do her inner work and healing. And just within 3 sessions, she noticed a big change in her son's behavior. Just by the way she responds to him, instead of reactive, she become creative. And this is why it's so powerful when we know how to shift or change our own emotional state. We know how to guide our kids to change their emotional state as well. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the Wisdom Inside Out. Stay tuned. Please follow me on this social media platform.